The cavern echoed with cruel laughter as the young dragon stumbled backward, his iridescent scales dulled by shame and exhaustion. Reggie was smaller than the others, always had been. While his clutchmates had grown into magnificent beasts with wings that could blot out suns and breath that could melt asteroids, he remained barely larger than a Terran horse. Runt, they called him. Defective. Mistake. The Draconis species ruled the Andromeda sector with iron claws and ancient pride. They were conquerors, destroyers, the apex predators of known space. But Reggie? He could barely maintain altitude for more than a few minutes, and his fire sputtered like a dying star. Today had been particularly brutal. Vexer, the largest of his siblings, had cornered him in the training grounds before the entire flight academy. The humiliation was systematic, calculated, a talon sweep that sent him crashing into the obsidian walls, followed by mocking flames that singed his wings without causing real damage. Just enough to hurt, just enough to remind him of his place. Now, alone in the abandoned mining tunnels of Dracon Prime's third moon, Reggie curled into himself. His wing membranes were torn, his pride shattered beyond repair. The darkness felt comfortable, final. Perhaps they're right, he thought, his golden eyes dimming. Perhaps I shouldn't exist at all. The Draconis had no concept of mercy for weakness. In their culture, the strong devoured the weak, sometimes literally. Reggie had survived this long only because ancient law prohibited killing within one's own clutch. But exile was coming. He could feel it in the way the elders looked at him, the way even his own mother turned her massive head away when he approached. He pressed his snout against the cold stone and wished for the courage to fly into the nearest star. That's when he heard the footsteps. Impossible. These tunnels had been sealed off for centuries, deemed too unstable even for dragon mining operations. Yet the sound was unmistakable, soft, rhythmic, bipedal, and accompanied by something he'd never heard before, humming. A strange, melodic sound that seemed to carry warmth through the freezing tunnel. Reggie lifted his head, alert despite his misery. Dragons had excellent night vision, but the figure that emerged from the shadows made him question his senses. A human, female, young. She wore a battered environmental suit patched with what looked like hand-sewn fabric, her helmet tucked under one arm. Brown hair fell in tangled waves around a face smudged with mineral dust, but her eyes, those impossibly bright eyes, held no fear as they met his. "Well," she said in perfectly accented Draconic, "you look like you've had a rough day." Reggie should have roared, should have demanded to know how a human, had penetrated Dracon Prime's defenses. The Terrans were little more than upstart mammals, barely evolved past their primitive homeworld, certainly not worthy of conversing with dragonkind. Instead, he found himself unable to speak. The girl, Amelia, he would later learn, approached without hesitation. She moved with the confidence of someone who'd spent her life in places she wasn't supposed to be. When she reached him, she didn't recoil from his wounds or his weakness. She held out her hand. "I'm Amelia Chen, freelance xenoarchaeologist and professional trespasser," she said with a crooked smile, "and you are definitely not supposed to be here either." What are you doing?" Reggie finally managed, his voice hoarse from disuse and crying. "Right now, probably violating about 17 interstellar treaties." She sat down on a rock, completely at ease. "But I was exploring these tunnels for pre-draconic artifacts when I heard something that sounded like despair. Figured I'd investigate. You should leave. If my kind find you, your kind already know I'm here," Amelia interrupted. "I have permits, sort of. The Draken Historical Society thinks I'm surveying the Western Quadrant." She tilted her head, studying him with unsettling directness. "Why are you crying, little dragon?" Little dragon. Not runt, not defective, just little. Something in Reggie's chest cracked open. "I'm weak," he whispered. "I bring shame to my clutch. I can't fly properly, can't breathe fire like the others. I'm nothing." Amelia was quiet for a long moment. Then she laughed. Not mockingly, but with genuine amusement that echoed through the cavern. "You know what humans were 1,000 years ago?" she asked. "Weak, slow. No natural weapons, no armor, no ability to survive in space. We couldn't breathe fire or fly between stars with our bodies. By every measure, we should have been prey." Reggie blinked. But we didn't give up," Amelia continued. "We built what we didn't have. We learned what we couldn't do. We turned our weakness into something else entirely. She stood, approaching him again with that outstretched hand. You know what I see when I look at you? A failure? Potential. Her hand touched his snout, warm and steady. You're smaller, yes, but that means you're lighter, faster. You could fit through spaces they never could. Your fire might be weak now, but precision beats power in most situations. And you know what else? What? You're the first dragon I've ever met who didn't immediately try to assert dominance or threaten me. You listened. You thought, that's intelligence, Reggie. That's adaptation. She smiled. That's the most human thing I've seen in a dragon. Reggie felt something stir in his chest, something he'd thought long dead. Hope. How did you know my name? Amelia tapped her data pad. I do my research. Reggie, youngest of matriarch Skorax's clutch, marked as developmental anomaly in the Academy records. Her eyes softened. Also marked as having the highest theoretical aptitude scores in the entire sector. That doesn't matter if I can't what? Meet their expectations. Amelia laughed again. Screw their expectations. Make your own. She pulled a small device from her belt. Human technology, compact and efficient. I'm offering you something your kind would never offer. A choice, come with me. Learn what humans know. We'll teach you how to make weakness irrelevant. Why would you help me? Because a long time ago, every other species counted us out too. We remember what it's like to be underestimated. She extended her hand again, palm up. So what do you say, little dragon? Ready to show them what defective really means? Reggie looked at her hand, so small, so fragile compared to his claws. Yet somehow it represented something vast and terrifying. Possibility. He placed his talon gently in her palm. Yes, he said, his voice steady for the first time in years. Teach me. Amelia's grin was fierce. Oh, we're going to have so much fun. Fair warning, though. Humans don't believe in limitations, which means I'm going to push you way past your comfort zone. As they walked together toward the tunnel exit, Reggie felt his wings, torn and weak as they were, twitch with anticipation. Above them, the stars of Andromeda glittered with infinite possibility. Behind them, the darkness of despair faded into memory. Ahead, a human and a dragon walked side by side into an impossible future.